Thank you. Today I'm not here to campaign or to talk about politics. Today I've come here to talk about 9/12. It was a beautiful morning as New Yorkers woke to ready themselves for the day. A slight breeze and a cool 71 degrees as they started their cars, stepped on their bus, boarded their subway. The hectic turn of the airports offered little comfort to the passengers as they called home or kissed their loved ones farewell. So many flights we will never remember. So many passengers continued their routine. 4 flights we shall never forget. 87 men and women and children aboard Airlines Flight 11. 59 husbands and wives, sons and daughters aboard United Airlines Flight 175. 59 friends, co-workers, and associates aboard American Airlines Flight 77. And 40 citizens, Americans, and heroes aboard the fated flight United 93. We saw heroism that day in the passengers of United Flight 93 who said in a loud voice and clear, "I will lay down my life so that others might live." In the firefighters and policemen who rushed into the smoke-filled stairwells of the crumbling buildings without regard for their own safety. Heroism was visible in the men and women who worked in the World Trade Centers. And the Pentagon, by the acts great and small of letting others go first, caring for the weaker, the injured. No one knew that so many loved ones would be called home that day, required to give account for their lives. We know them as the innocent. We know them as the victims of an unreasoning hate. We know them as the representation of each of us, our families, our friends, and our fellow Americans. We hear their voices, though we never knew them. We know their deeds, though we were never introduced. We feel their strength in the lives they gave, and we see their sacrifices in the future that we share. Their sacrifice 8 years ago is a challenge to us today. Our future lies before us as theirs was cut short. As we think about the events of that day and their impact on our lives, what was changed if not a renewed patriotism, a renewed purpose, and a renewed passion for freedom? Our patriotism in America that is good, in a land where we can work hard and provide for our families, where we can maintain control of our household and teach our children the lessons of public service and responsibility. A nation with purpose, placing high the right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, where each citizen has equal opportunity to better themselves. In our passion for freedom, we are reminded that the government, in all its authority, does not allow us our freedom. We pay their salary. They work for us. The founders of our government formed a body whose sole purpose was to protect our rights and our freedoms, the same rights and freedoms that the terrorists tried to take away from us on that fateful day. We try to find a way to honor those who died that day. We struggle to find the adequate words to memorialize them, as President Lincoln did at Gettysburg when he said, "We cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they fought here, have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. In the more than the 85,000 days since the adoption of the Declaration of Independence, we have had our tragic days. We have had our December 7th, when Pearl Harbor was attacked, and of course we've had our September 11th, when the planes flew into the World Trade Center. But we have awoken to December 8th, and we have awoken to September 12th. We have awoken to a day of resolve, whether we are neither Democrat nor Republican, where we join together, not because of a common creed or ethnicity, but because of a common bond of a shared land that we call the United States of America. And that is what we should do. We should join together as Americans. Today we remember those heroes. Today we honor their sacrifice. We see the value in a life given for a life saved, and we hold those reflections sacred. We must never forget the value of tomorrow. We must never lose sight of the next day. For the true value of tomorrow is that our hopes and dreams live on. We stand shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, pursuing that future and protecting that freedom. Edmund Burke once said that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. We did not sit idly by on September 11th, 2001. We did not wait for another attack. When faced with evil, we stood tall and we fought either in uniform or in support of those in uniform. With renewed passion, we took ownership of our freedoms. Let us challenge ourselves today, 8 years later, to own our freedoms, to own our government, and to own our future, and to know that we alone determine the course of our America. Thank you.